Today's lesson's on section 9.5 on setting up vertical motion problems. We've just gotten into recently our solving and factoring of quadratic polynomial equations, and one of the main applications that we've seen so far since then has been area problems. But this is another popular problem that sets up with a lot of the quadratic with the formulas that we've been using with the equations, and usually needs to be solved by factoring like we've been doing these vertical motion problems. Vertical motion, or also projectile motions, are any problems where we're dealing with something that's set in the air or put into the air, either kicked or thrown, or like a cannonball shot into the air, and can't keep itself in the air. So then it follows this natural trajectory of obviously something increasing or rising and then falling back down in this parabolic shape, this parabola of a shape that we're going to graph. We'll do some of the graphing of those soon, but right now we can still even do some of the solving just with the algebra and the equations and the situations we're giving. So I've got a picture here again of the cannon shooting a cannonball out of it, and again it shoots up to the ground, up to the top of the kind of the arc of its path, and then back down. Again, something that can't keep itself in the air, so gravity takes effect on it, and it drags it back down to the ground, and usually follows this type of shape. And whether it's really steep like that first one, or like a flatter shape like this next one, these types of arcs, this parabola shape, can be modeled by the equations that we've been doing, a quadratic equation. Same thing here with, just got a couple of picture examples here. Same thing with something like a football kicked off the ground, or a soccer ball kicked off the ground, gets to some maximum height, and then lands back on the ground. We can model the height of this object as it travels, let's say 1 second into its path, and we can say, oh, now this football is 10 feet off the ground, and then 2 seconds into the path, now it's 20 feet off the ground, and then 3 seconds, it's 30 feet off the ground, and we can figure that out using an equation that models this situation. It can be something that starts on the ground and then gets kicked in the air and then lands on the ground, or again thrown or shot or whatever it is. Or it can be something also that it gets thrown off a cliff per se, like this picture here with the cannonball getting shot off the cliff. We can also model this situation by knowing its initial height and knowing what the velocity is as it's shot out of the cannon and in the vertical direction. So we'll talk about all this in the pages going forward here on how we model vertical motion using equations like we've been dealing with. So this slide gives the equation for any type of projectile or anything that is, again, using the vertical motion model, some object in the air that can't keep itself in the air. And here's the general equation, and I'll write it once just a little bigger just to get the idea of it, and I'll tell you what all these variables mean. But it's h equals negative 16 t squared plus vt plus s. I would never have you actually memorize this equation, but I think we'll use it enough where you will start to, just based on all the problems that we're doing. They all start like this, and then we can plug in some numbers for these variables based on the situation that we're given. Okay, and I'm going to go through right now and talk about, there's 4 variables, as you can see. There's h, there's t, there's v, and there's s. And all these variables obviously stand for something, and in these particular problems, I'll try to describe that and define them for you right now. First of all, h is one of the heights that we talk about. It's the height of the object as it travels, as I say. So height of the object, and again, if you're taking notes along with me, you should be writing these things down. Height of the object, and again, it's the traveling height. And what I mean by that is kind of like I did on that previous page. That football was, let's say, kicked in the air. And we want to figure out the height after 1 second, or after 2 seconds, or after 3 seconds. So just quick little picture here, but here was the football, or the soccer ball, and it was kicked into the air, and again, we want to figure out the height after 1 second. So what's the height of the ball now, or height after 2 seconds, or height after 3 seconds, or 4 seconds, or 5 seconds? That's the h that we're talking about, the height as this thing travels through the air at different times. So that's the height this is the actual height as it's moving. V, the next one, is the initial vertical velocity. And in general, this is just the velocity, the amount of force put into the object to get it going into the air. I'm also going to put here, and I'll put it for the last one too, this is initial vertical velocity. It's a speed. So this is measured in feet per second. And going back to our height here as well, this is measured in feet. The way we've got the equation set up, where this is negative, kind of the key constant here we can see that tells us this is negative 16. That's the factor of gravity, the acceleration of gravity back to the Earth. And that is in feet, and that's going to put all these other things in feet as well. So feet, and this is in feet per second. But initial vertical velocity in general, it's the force given to something to get it in the air. And it's talking about just the force that's applied upward to it. So just the force that's in this direction. So whether it's something, a baseball thrown in the air, or a football getting kicked in the air, or something, a cannonball shot into the air, or a basketball shot into the air, whatever it is, the initial vertical velocity is the force upward given to it to keep it in the air. T stands for the time, and this is in seconds, as you can imagine as well. So whether it's, again, something's 1 second in the air, we can figure out, okay, so after 1 second, going back to my little picture up here, 1 second it's at this particular height. At 2 seconds at this particular height. So the time as it travels through the air. And S, that last one, is actually called the initial height of the object. Oops. This is the initial height, so wherever it starts. Some things may start on the ground, some things may start on the cliff, or where it may be, or maybe it's something, it's a baseball that's getting thrown out of somebody's hand. So maybe at that point it's about 5 feet off the ground. Maybe that's the initial height, and again, this is in feet too. Whenever the object is put into motion, what is the initial height? Is it on the ground, height 0, or is it somewhere above the ground? So that's what that one will be. So I'm going to take you through one example problem using this equation, h equals negative 16t squared plus vt plus s, kind of show us how we might use it, and in a situation how we can answer some questions with it too. Take a look at the situation we've got here. It says at the beginning of a football game, the kicker kicks the ball off to the other team. The ball basically starts on the ground on a tee, and the average NFL kicker can exert an initial vertical velocity of about 72 feet per second on the ball. So again, this is something, a vertical motion problem, because we're kicking the ball in the air, and then it can't keep itself in the air, so its path is going to model with this equation. It's something that starts on the ground, gets kicked in the air, and then comes back down to the ground again. So first thing we're going to do is write an equation that models this situation given the information we have. Now, as we talked about on the previous page, this equation starts off with 4 variables. What I like to do in these problems is let's list those 4 variables, h, t, v, and s. And in many of these problems, we're given 2 or 3 of these things, and then we can use that to solve for the remaining 1 or 2 or whatever it may be. Okay. Also, just know, in general, h and t, those are kind of like our x and y variables. Think about like slope-intercept form for a second. Think about the general equation, y equals mx plus b. Or let me put some numbers in there just like we're used to working with. Y equals 2x plus 1. Okay. Notice how x is always in the problem, and we make our final equation, and y, and then we use those and sometimes substitute numbers in for that to find some answers. But x is our independent variable, and y is the dependent, right? And it's solved for y. Well, h and t kind of act like those in this equation. So just know, a lot of times when we first make our initial equation, it says write an equation that models this situation, we're probably going to be given v and s. Okay, there can be problems where we won't be, but usually we'll be given those two, and then h and t we'll use to maybe answer some other questions along the way. So in this first one, it says write an equation, like we said, that models the height of the football as a function of the time since it was kicked. So that means we're going to write an equation that's h equals the height of the football, the traveling height, and then t will be the other variable that's still in here, but we'll know the other things. Okay, the other thing, numbers v and s, numbers we can plug in. Reading through it, it talks about the initial vertical velocity was 72 feet per second, so the v is 72. And then here's where we have to interpret a little bit. It doesn't say specifically, but it says the ball starts basically on the ground, right? It's on a tee, but basically it's at ground 0. So that's what we're going to use. So the initial height of this is 0, the s. So if I make my equation now, I've got h equals already in there, negative 16t squared plus 72t, since that's the initial velocity. And then, again, we could put plus, well, not plus s, but we could put plus 0, But of course, the fact that it's plus 0, we don't even need to include that. It might just even get in our way. So we're just going to leave that off. And there's our equation. Typically in these problems, you'll start with this and then maybe answer some questions along the way from that point. But start here, writing an equation. We should have h and t as are still our variables in there, but we've plugged in the other things that we know. Okay, so good. Using that equation for part B, it says, what's the average hang time of an NFL kickoff? Now, when starting these next problems, I still like to say you should start the same way we just did. Start off by listing our 4 variables and figuring out what we're trying to find and what we have. And certain problems, it even may change, but in this one, notice that it doesn't say anything about the initial vertical velocity changing, so that's still 72. And we're talking about the hang time of an NFL kickoff. So it's saying a ball where we still kick it off the ground. So our initial height is still 0. Okay. Now, initial height of a kickoff. So again, what we're trying to find, again, going back to my little picture here I keep drawing, but the ball starts in the ground, and then it's kicked in the air, and then lands back on the ground again. Okay. So this is the path, and we're trying to find out how long is it in the air. Is it in the air 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds? How long is that hang time? Okay. The question also gives us a little hint in terms of what we're finding and then what we should also know based on for our equation. It says what's the average hang time, right? So we're trying to find a time. So that's your hint that our answers are going to be t equals. Like we're finding out what is t. And that tells you that we probably should know what h is. We should know a number to put in there. Okay. Again, going back to my picture one more time, realize what we're doing is the ball starts on the ground, and the hang time is how long it lasts until it's on the ground again. So we're trying to find out the time when the ball is back on the ground again. So in this case, the height, the number we're going to plug in for our traveling height is 0, because I want to figure out when is it back on the ground. Okay, when does it have a height 0 again? Okay, so going back to our equation from up here, I'm going to use all those same numbers as we saw, but now my height, I'm going to put in 0. So this is going to be 0 equals negative 16t squared, because t is the one I'm still trying to figure out, plus 72t. Now, taking a look at this, hopefully you start to see that this looks like the problems we've been solving in this chapter, right? We've got it set equal to 0, and we've started to learn how to factor and solve problems like this to find our solutions, find our roots. So it's set equal to 0 already, and looking at the right side, I've got something I can factor out of both those numbers, and kind of just like our reverse distribution. That's always the first way we should look to factor. 16 and 72 are both divisible by 8. And remember, something we've talked about here in the last few lessons is if you have a negative for the leading coefficient, so this is negative 16t squared, then it's helpful to factor out a negative 8. It just works a lot easier with the sign rules we've learned, and usually helps to see our answer a little easier too. So I'm going to factor out a negative 8, and I can also factor out a t, right, the variable. So then I'd be left within the parentheses 2t minus 9, and all that still equals 0. Good, I've done the factoring correctly. I've got this to factored form, so now I can find my solutions for t. And again, that makes sense because the question was asking what's the average hang time, okay? That's the amount of time here that we're looking for. So t equals what? There's 2 different t's here that I could plug a number in for and make 0 on this side. This one out front is actually 0 right here. I can put 0 in there, and that will cancel everything out. And then the binomial here, 2t minus 9. Remember, if you have a little trouble finding the answer from that, just know that you're trying to figure out when that equals 0. So set it equal to 0 like this in a little equation, and then solve it like a little linear equation that we've solved in the past. I add 9 to both sides, so 2t equals 9, divide both sides by 2, and I find out that t equals 9 over 2, or probably more commonly, it's 4.5 in a problem like this, okay? Now, both answers in this case make sense. Again, going back to my picture one more time. Very simple, a football getting kicked off. Here's where the football started, gets kicked off, and it lands back on the ground, right? What we're finding when we put 0 in for h right here, okay, when I put 0 in here, I put that in for the traveling height, okay, because we're figuring out the times, the t's, when the height is 0. And notice that's here and here. What times are those? Well, that's times 0, okay, after 0 seconds, which makes sense because the ball hasn't been kicked yet. See, up at 0 seconds, here's the ball. It gets kicked in the air. It's traveling 1, 2, 3, 4.5 seconds. And so that's the answer to this question in this particular situation. That's 4.5 seconds it's in the air. But just realize both our answers, both our numbers for t make sense. Just 0 is the time 0. Ball hasn't been kicked yet. And then as soon as it's kicked, the stopwatch starts. And at 4.5 seconds is when it lands back on the ground. So the hang time is 4.5 seconds. Okay, answering one more question here that goes along with this example. What is the average maximum height of an NFL kickoff? Okay. Well, again, for this problem too, it's dealing with vertical motion, so I recommend, first of all, start with our variables, h, t, v, and s. And again, they haven't changed anything for the initial vertical velocity, and we're still doing a kickoff from the ground, so these two are still the same. Okay. But now this question says, what's the maximum height? So we are trying to figure out a height in this problem. So that gives me a hint that we should know t for the equation, be able to put a number in there. Okay. Well, I'll go back to my picture again. Okay, I'm going to go back to this one over here. Whenever we deal with these vertical motion problems and something is kicked in the air, and especially when it starts and lands at the same level, both in this case it starts in the ground and lands in the ground, okay, then the maximum height of something in this parabola shape is going to occur right in the middle, right here, okay, which is midway through the flight. If we have problems in the future where something is kicked, like a ball is kicked and it lands on like a hill up above or something like that, then there'll be a different situation. But for this problem here that we're dealing with right now, the maximum height is going to occur right in the middle at this point. And so we have to use a little bit of the information before, but we know that the hang time of the ball was 4.5 seconds. So in this case, the max height that we want, the time we want, that's going to occur at half of that, which is 2.25 seconds, 2.25 seconds. So using a little bit of info from the previous problem, in this case, that's the time that we're going to use and plug in for t so that we can find the height at that time at 2.25 seconds. Okay. Going back to our original equation again, now h is what we're trying to find. We still have negative 16. And now t squared, though, is, as we said, 2.25 squared. And then plus 72 times 2.25. Okay. Now, when you're dealing with some of these problems, if we have integers, it's kind of nice. But even with these decimals, it's okay to use a calculator to speed things up a little bit, but still things I would expect you could do. Just a reminder, at this first part here, negative 16 times 2.25 squared, you do have to do the exponent first, like PEMDAS. And so that'll give us negative 16 times, and I think it's 5.0625 plus, and then 72 times 2.25 gives me 162. Okay. Completing that first part, negative 16 times 5, I think actually ends up giving us negative 81. So nice enough. We get back to an integer here. Plus that 162 from before, add those together, so the height ends up being 81 feet. So that's the max height of the ball. We found out the time that it would occur by using the previous problem, and we plug that into the equation. We get what the max height should be of an average NFL kickoff, about 81 feet.